Have you ever wondered how much panda film to use while blacking out your greenhouse? Well, in this video, we're going to get into it. Make sure to stay tuned to the very end because I'm going to be including a promo to save you a fat discount if anyone's looking to buy panda film.
Join our membership and get unlimited direct access to me. Sounds crazy? Here's the proof.
Okay, Bob Growbud, how much panda film would I need for a 20 by 10 by 7 greenhouse? Okay, so I think this was actually a great question because it gets out of the realm of growing and it gets into the realm of mathematics. When growing up, one of my uncles would always say, as long as you know how to count to 10, you're going to be just fine. And to be open with you, I actually have to admit that really it is sound advice quite a bit. You know, if you're capable of just some basic arithmetic, some dividing, some multiplying, you're going to be able to figure out your problems so you're able to save money or make more money over time because you don't need a contractor or someone else to help solve these problems. I think this was a great question because it helps do that. The first formula that you want to take into consideration is figuring out the circumference. The circumference, so to give you some vocabulary, a radius is from one side to the center. The diameter is all the way through, the circumference is all the way around, and the length of an arc can actually be a sector of or a segment of the circle. So in this situation, we have to figure out the circumference of the circle as well as figuring out the length of an arc. And so in this situation, it's really easy. All you have to do is its circumference equals pi times diameter. And so what is pi? Pi is a formula that was and is still being discovered all over the world through ancient historical facts. Pyramids, stuff like that. The golden ratio is a very interesting topic. I'm not going to get too heavily into it, but if anyone is ever into pyramids and ancient history, I would definitely recommend going down the rabbit hole. But to really just get into it, pi is this number that never ends, and it is basically the golden ratio. It's the number that keeps reappearing throughout this entire world, through not just like man-made structures, because men are trying to replicate this natural mathematics as seen in plants, animals, human beings, all of this stuff. So basically, just remember 3.14 if you ever have to time something by pi, okay? So from here, all you do is you get the diameter. But this situation's a little bit different because Bob has a width of 10 feet, but he has a height of 7 feet. So it's not a perfect circle to get a circumference. So how do you figure that out, right? So if you will go 7 feet high and 7 feet on the opposite side, that would be 14. So this is where you get the 14 number right here. So it'd be 14 because all I'm doing is taking the radius and timesing it by 2 to get a full diameter lengthwise. And since we know 10, I do 14 plus 10 divided by 2, which equals 12. So you do 3.14 times 12. So your circumference all the way around is 37.68 feet. But because I don't need the full circumference, I only need half, I end up dividing it by 2. So from this point all the way up to this point and all the way down to this point is a total of 18.84 feet. Although that's not the answer to Bob's question. What you really need to do is actually cut an additional foot, maybe even 18 inches on one side and 18 inches on the other side. You're going to want to add just in case, just to make your life a little easier. And then also, if you don't have a complete dark out ability on both sides of the greenhouse, you're going to have to cut more plastic to get to the bottom. So this length, you might want to add on an additional 2 to 3 feet just to cover your butt and your plants are fully blacked out. Now we're going to be dealing with the length of the greenhouse. And let me go ahead and show you a couple pictures just to kind of show you examples of what I'm talking about. Okay, so as you can see right here in this greenhouse, this was just a grow operation we did back in King City, California about 6 or 7 years ago. It was producing about 2,500 to 3,000 pounds, and 6 greenhouses was put roughly on about a half acre of land. Although as you can see, these greenhouses, it goes up, it goes flat, it's kind of like an oval shape, right? This one right here is also like an oval shape, long sides, high roofs, same up here. Why is that? Obviously a little bit more support. We wanted to keep things really cheap. Back in the day, things were still pretty illegal. They were still doing raids. So we didn't want to put up massive infrastructure, and we wanted to just kick off the grow. I ended up using shade cloths to block off what people could see from the sky, and I was able to create a nice low growing environment in the bottom. In King City, California, it's actually pretty hot over there as well, so I wanted to reflect some of the light and create a little bit healthier growing environment, which also helps with water retention and other things. But as you can see though, this is not a perfect circle, so your dimensions have to be figured out prior to cutting. It's because the panda film is pretty expensive. It's not just the cost of the panda film, but it's also the cost of shipping to get it over to you. In these greenhouses, we had to use 24 by 100 foot length panda film because these greenhouses were 70 feet wide, and obviously as you could see there, you could see through the sides right here. We needed enough plastic to go from the roof all the way down to the floor so we could have total blackout capabilities. Although as you can see though right here on the sides, because a lot of these plastics come 24 by 100, 32 by 100, 40 by 100, 50 by 100. They range from $400 all the way up to $900 even before shipping. And this is for the nice stuff, the 9 ml. You can always go a little less expensive with 5.5 ml. That'd probably be the thinnest plastic I'd go with. Because once you start getting tears in your greenhouse, you have to go behind and start actually putting tape all over the pinholes, or you might seed your crop or hermiate your crop because of one issue or another. Point is that these plastics come standard size, and if you really want to max out your grow and be efficient with all of your materials, you don't want to just build your greenhouse. You want to get an inventory list of all of your materials and eliminate certain ideas that are only going to lead to further frustration or fatigue as you're setting up. Because if you make your greenhouse too high or too long and you have to get outside these standard cuts, it can become pretty expensive. This is another greenhouse that one of my clients currently just built out. He did things slightly differently, which a lot of growers do it like this, and I understand why. It looks cleaner. And as long as you angle your greenhouses so that your sun is coming up overhead, you're not going to have much shadow. As you can see right here, they were using steel reinforced beams versus us, we were using scheduled 80 plastic 1.5 inches. I know that might sound pretty crazy, but again, I wanted to make it cheap. Steel was expensive. I know how strong scheduled 80 is. Obviously, this plastic is made to be outdoors or under weather conditions. And I know with enough ribs, it would be able to support a semi-decent weight going overhead. Obviously, you as a grower, when you're building out your greenhouses, you have to decide what's right for you. If you're building an infrastructure that's going to be there year after year after year, I would probably spend a little bit more money. But just to give you a heads up, the Schedule 80 lasts us for 2.5 years. We're able to produce roughly around 4,000, 5,000 pounds of product. And each greenhouse costs less than $1,000 to put together, not including the panda paper and shade cloth. With the shade cloth and panda paper, we roughly had about $2,000, $2,500 invested in each greenhouse. And it was able to be put together in a matter of a few days.
Just a quick side note, if you're thinking about expanding your operation or just getting started, make sure to check out our complete greenhouse or grow tent packages. We put together everything you need for success, including a few months of grow coaching. Make sure to type in the promo code PACKAGE for an additional discount.
Coming back over to one of my clients, which once again, he's here to stay. It's a 100% legal grow operation. And a lot of times you can actually find old greenhouse ribs and material super cheap and used from people that aren't growing anymore. All you have to go over and do is just dismantle the ribs and you can save a couple $1,000s. This is a little bit more built. He put a door in, nice ribs. This is 2x6s, well reinforced. Once again, also you're in Oklahoma, so if you are growing in Oklahoma, you might be dealing with tornadoes, hailstorms, and it might make sense to put in a little bit nicer infrastructure. As you can see, he built out a very simple contraption for helping to pull the plastic overhead. I would highly recommend to do something like this. What I would recommend to actually do too, if you have the money, is to put something on a swivel right here in the center, and you just have a bar that helps take it all the way over. And a lot of people have seen these, so right there in the center you have a simple pulley system where you're able to connect a rod that goes and helps pull the plastic over to the top. As you see right here, he has his fan systems and other things set in place to help with a full blackout experience. At the very end, he doesn't have to bring the plastic all the way to the bottom because these sides black out the light 100%. This is another greenhouse. These fans do have flaps to help block out the light, although there might be some light leakage, so you're definitely going to want to do your due diligence, cover up your greenhouse when it's full sun outside, and go in there and block all the light. You do not want an uneven growing environment in your greenhouse. Another couple pictures I wanted to show you was how simple you could put an outdoor veg greenhouse together. It really doesn't take a lot. You don't have to put a lot of money into your infrastructures. At the end of the day, it's more important to get your crop off than to put tens of thousands of dollars into infrastructure and never get that money out of your operation. This as well was Scheduled 80 plastic. We put up a very simple solar system that was connected to a few batteries, and then we hooked up a couple overhead lights. We were able to pack in about 500 plants and got them into an early veg cycle while we were building out some of the other greenhouses. I see so often growers will put in massive HID lights for their plants, and you don't need that. Just remember, you need to understand the photosynthesis period, how much light they need and are required to stay in veg, and give them that and plus a little bit more. They don't need expensive lights. They need to just stay in veg, and these plants are so sensitive to light, guys. If you haven't checked out my other videos around the sensitivity of twilight and civil twilight, please check that out. It will explain more.
Okay, so to go ahead and get back over to Bob's question. Bob, you're going to need a 24 by 100, and where you're going to pay a difference is going to be either a 5.5 ml, which is the ml is the thickness of the plastic, or you're going to pay a 7 ml or a 9 ml. And for everyone that's still listening, let me go ahead and also break down the shipping costs for all of this for the entire United States. And I promise you, Bob, that I'm not trying to sell you extra plastic or try to get more money out of you. It's just like what we're talking about. Your greenhouse, you set it up to be a certain size. These plastics come in a standard size cutting. And if you try to get outside that standard cut, it's going to become a custom cut, which will end up being much more expensive. It'll end up costing you more shipping, time, labor, all that stuff. So let's go ahead and come over here to my vendor DL Wholesale. Like I said, if all these plastics aren't on my website already, please hit me up. I'll hook you up with a fatter discount just for going through the hassle of not being able to just pay right when you come to the website. My email address is admin, ADMIN, @perfectgardens.com. I'll make sure to leave it up on the screen as well. Okay, because I showed you the dimensions and everything along those lines, now it just comes into basic shippings. So all the plastics that come 10 foot by 10, 10 by 25, 10 by 50, 10 by 100, 10 by 100 on the 7 ml, all come in a box already. So they can actually get shipped ground. Anything from 24 to 32 have to get shipped on a single pallet, which is a 4x4 pallet. All the plastics that's larger than 40 feet wide has to get shipped on a double pallet. So let me go ahead and break down the cost real fast. All of these 10-foot size plastics right here are going to cost you about $30 in shipping. Doesn't matter if you're in California or on the East Coast. The 24 to 32-foot wide plastics, if you're living in California, are going to cost you $150 in freight, because remember, they come in 4x4 pallets. They're really large plastic. $200 for Oregon, $300 for Washington. If you're on the East Coast, it's going to cost you about $400 for a single pallet, and if you're in the Midwest, it'll be about $250 to $300. So after you make the purchase, I'm going to have to hit you up for a shipping cost after I get you a quote. Now, this is a really big factor to remember. If the shipping cost is for one plastic, the shipping cost will be the same cost if you order 2 or 3 more plastic. So I highly recommend to go ahead and max it out. And so how you're going to do so is on the 24, it can fit about 5 to a pallet. So like I said, if you only order 1, it's going to be the same cost. If you order 5 of these, it's going to be the same cost for shipping. If it's a 32, it can fit about 4 to a pallet. For the 40 and the 50 footers, they're going to go on a double wide pallet. So that's going to mean a 4 by 8 foot. If you're in California, that's going to be $250 for shipping. Oregon, $300. Washington, $400. The Midwest is going to be about $400, and if you're on the East Coast, it's going to be about $550. So if you are going for these larger sizes, I would highly recommend to at least order 2. Get your money's worth out of this stuff. There's always something that can go wrong.
Last but not least, the promo code is somewhere here on the screen, so please take it down. Just because you stuck with me till the very end, here's an additional 10% off. Guys, there's not much margin in these plastics, but I'm doing my best to give you what I can. Shipping is a bitch, so be prepared for that. I highly recommend, if you're at the point where you're having to black out a greenhouse, don't just buy one roll of plastic. I can guarantee you're going to run into a tear. Someone's going to screw something up, and you do not want to be running all over the state finding plastic in the middle of your grow. If there is a certain size I do not have, please come check out my vendor, DL Wholesale. Come over to Grow Tents Film and Panda Films. They have a whole variety, so if I don't have it on my website at the time you're searching for it, come here, hit me up, let me know you found me on YouTube, and I'll hook you up with an even better discount just for the hassle of it not being on my website and available for you guys. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Have a great grow, everyone.